Hey everyone, welcome to the Orange Chronicles. I'm Tom, and today we'll be going over what happened in the past week. This video is much later than normal, and that is because I competed in my third strongman competition this weekend, and so everything got pushed off a little bit. I'll talk about that towards the end of the video, but let's go ahead and get right into the books. And I just realized right now that I have yet to make a cover for the first book called The Machine Stops. This is a very short science fiction novel written a little over 100 years ago, and I thought it was good. I gave it a 3-star. I thought it offered some interesting insights into what somebody might have been thinking about the future in, well, I think it's 1909 is when it was published. And I will say there's also one, I want to see if I can find it somewhere online so I can like print out this one paragraph that just hit me really, really hard towards like the very end of the book. And that's going to be the thing that sticks with me the most about this. I think in general, it's not going to be something that sticks with me a whole lot. The basic premise is scarcity has kind of been solved. It seems like there's a machine that takes care of everything for you. Everyone kind of has a home, and the earth, the surface is destroyed, and so you have to live in this, acclimatized place where everything is taken care of, and just kind of this. It's almost like a take on an authoritarian government, but it's an AI that is taking care of everything and trying to keep humanity safe. And I do think it's an interesting exploration of that, and I think it overall is a good time. I think this is an hour-long audiobook on Audible, so I mean I think it's very much worth your time just to get like that snapshot of what somebody was thinking that long ago. And also this feels like a very modern book. The language is written in a way that is very consumable, and like I said, I think overall it's a good story. It's a good time. It's so short that for me it's really hard for me to give it anything hard or higher than a 3-star, but that means I liked it, and it is something that I would recommend to a lot of people. And I stuck on the short sci-fi train with my next book, which was The Signal by a couple of different people here. This is also an Audible exclusive, I believe. And this one, a little bit more of a mixed reception on at first. And as I've sat with it more, I actually think the twist that happens here in this book works better for me. But The Signal is basically an astronomer is listening to outer space and they get a signal, and they are very confident that it is either extraterrestrial life or some kind of military thing going on. And that's kind of the crux of the issue that we explore through the book of, is it one thing, is it the other, what should we do, all of these things. And I can't really talk about the ending of this book for spoiler reasons, obviously, but I do think that the dilemma that is played with at the end is actually an interesting one. When I first read it and finished it, I was like, oh God, what a horrible way to end that. But I've come around on that. If you want more like direct spoilers, let me know down below in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to like give full spoiler thoughts on like what was actually going on if you don't plan on reading this or whatever. I do think there is an interesting dilemma that is played with, and I'm not sure where I actually come down what the right answer is, and so that does make it interesting. I will say I have this criticism a lot with some of these Audible exclusives. They treat it like a TV show in book format, and this is one of those ones where I listen to and is like, does this even count like as a book? Because it very much feels like it's a TV show that is written to be played as an audiobook. It's high production quality, all of those things. It's very well done, but there are just some times where that rubs me a little bit of the wrong way, and I never know exactly how to feel about that. And there are some other Audible exclusives where I think sometimes Audible forgets that this is for books, and they try to do like this weird radio mix kind of thing. And I'm getting off on a tangent there, but in general, I think The Signal was decent. I had a good enough time with it. Once again, this is super short. I think it was like 2 hours long. So, and it's free if you already have an Audible membership. So if it's piquing your interest, I think it's worth, listening to. And, worst case, it bumps up one of your books you've read on for your Goodreads goal or something like that. And next up is Faith Breaker by Hannah Kanner. This is book 3 of the Fallen Gods trilogy, the first of those books being God Killer. And I'm technically not done with this book. I have an hour left in it, so some things could change. I don't think overall my feelings are going to change too much. I'm going to give this one a 3-star, but I do think it is significantly better than the second book. The second book really dragged, and there are definitely elements of that still here in this book where it's a little long in the tooth in some sections, and I'm just like, oh, come on. I was reading this or listening to this on a 3.5-hour ride to my competition, and the whole time I'm just like, man, if I had anything else to listen to for sections, I would be doing that. And then there were other sections that were great. There are definitely some characters in here that I care so much more about, that when we're with those characters, I really, really enjoy this book. And when I'm not with those characters, it just nosedives for me, and I just don't care as much. The first book sets this story up to be a much more Witcher kind of vibes, kind of story, and that's not really where the story goes. It gets much more, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know everything that happens in The Witcher. I haven't finished that series. But like, we have the grizzled veteran who's like a god killer, very much a Witcher-esque character, and then we have somebody who's special in some certain way, Ciri in The Witcher, the main character here in these books. And yeah, I'm glad that I read this trilogy. I think it does a lot of things really well. I think it does representation well. If that's something that you're interested in, if that's something that you care about reading more, this has a lot of really great representation from a lot of different like groups that don't normally get representation, I think, in a lot of modern fantasy. But like I said, we'll see if the last hour changes anything for me. I don't think it really will. I think in general, the first book is far superior to the next two, which is unfortunate. You know, you would want them to at least be at the same level, if not get better as you go on into the series. And yeah, I can't say I regret reading them. Sunbringer book 2 was definitely a little rough. But, you know, we'll see. And like I said, maybe that last hour will take this from a 3-star to a 4-star or something. But I don't really think that is what is going to happen. But Faithbreaker, I at least can say I finally completed that trilogy. This was one of my anticipated releases for this year. So it's nice to get those books kind of out and about. And then I did also start Discovery by J.A.J. Minton, also known as Talking Story here on BookTube. And I am only about 5 or 10 pages in, so it's really hard for me to say anything else other than I'm kind of digging it. I like what I have read so far, but that is going to be a focus for me now that I am done with a lot of my other reads. And the only other thing I will be starting, so Discovery will be my physical read that I'll be reading physically, and then when I finish Faithbreaker, which probably will happen after I finish recording this video, will be The Lonesome Crown by Brian Lee Durfee. This is book 3 of the 5 Warrior Angels trilogy, so completing another trilogy this month would be awesome. This is a very long book. I think it's like a 45-hour long audiobook, but I'm ready for it. I have been very much looking forward to getting to the end of this trilogy. It is definitely in contention for a top 10 fantasy series all time for me. So if it can stick the landing here, it'll probably end up somewhere on that list, which will be awesome. It's, you know, nice, grim, dark, gritty, fantasy, epic, just all of the hallmarks that you kind of want in a fantasy. Games of Thrones-esque, but really its own thing with its own lore and history and battles going on. Book 2 has one of the best battle scenes I've ever read in my life. It's just this epic, gnarly thing that I would love to see like animated. Honestly, I think animation could do it like true justice, and it's just such an awesome battle scene towards the end of book 2. There's a lot of things that still need to be answered in book 3, and I have a feeling that's why it is so long. There's so much still to figure out, and you know, my only hope is I think if I've heard this through BookTube in multiple places that originally Brian Lee Durfee wanted this to be 5 books, 5 Warrior Angels, 5 books. This is what I've heard. I don't know how true this is, and that it kind of got squeezed into a trilogy, and I'm hoping that we don't lose some of the magic that could have been if this series got a chance to flesh itself out completely between 5 books instead of 3, and that it's not just like hold on to your pants the whole way through book 3. Even not saying that it will be bad. I've heard that in general people really like it, so I'm hoping that's where I end up there for book 3 of that, and hopefully that is how it goes. Now let us quickly switch over to manga, and this will once again be a very, very quick update. No manga for me this week. Very busy with traveling and everything, and work still very, very busy for me, so manga has just kind of taken that step back. It's just one of the things that I have been able to not do right now to preserve some time for some other things, which is unfortunate. I definitely want to get back to Frienden and Dragon Ball Super so that I can finish one or both of those and then jump back into probably, I have said One Piece, so I feel like I need to do One Piece, and I'm still sprinkling in some other things. You know, I'm trying to stay caught up on Boruto even though I'm behind. Black Clover, same thing. They're releasing chapters so sporadically now. Who knows what's going on there? I don't really keep up with that. If a new chapter were ever to be released for Berserk and Vinland Saga, I'd catch up on those things as well. So that is kind of the manga update, and that might be, I don't know, manga is like that one for me where it comes and goes as it pleases. Now let's quickly switch over to anything that I have watched or played so far, and I have continued watching The Wheel of Time. I know a lot of people have their hands up against it, and I totally get why. Season 1 and 2 are rough. They're pretty, like, I think even when I was being as nice as possible, I said at least season 2 kind of is a coherent TV show. Not even that it was necessarily good. I think it was okay. But like season 1 is a pretty big dumpster fire. But I have enjoyed season 3. They have really they have made a concerted effort to get things back to where they should be for book purposes. And obviously so much stuff has happened that they haven't been able to do that completely. And there are definitely still some things that they are doing that I'm like, don't really like that. But it's getting closer to an acceptable level for an adaptation to change. I don't know if that's going to stay true. There's still 2 episodes left. I have not watched episode 7 yet, which is the penultimate one, and then episode 8 still needs to come out. So we'll see if they can stick the landing. That has actually really been a hard thing for them to do, as this, like season 1, the ending is horrible. Season 2, the ending is really bad too. So I'm hoping maybe they can break the curse here. I will say I saw Bookborn on her Instagram story. It didn't look like she loved episode 7, which makes me a little bit nervous. But that just because she didn't like it doesn't mean I won't, which, is a good and a bad thing. Also, I got to play a little bit of Red Dead Redemption 2, which is probably why I didn't read manga. I did that instead. And that game is slowly starting to suck me in. And I know that's like a huge, expansive world that you could play multiple times, multiple different ways, and all kinds of things. I'm currently, for anybody who cares, on a game that's like 15 years old at this point, I'm going on the high honor route right now. Though I do think it would be fun to do the opposite and just like be an actual outlaw crazy person. So it might be a game that at some point I play twice. I have a pretty big backlog, but like I'm kind of playing it like if it were me in this situation, and I wouldn't be the ruthless, just killing everybody kind of outlaw. I would definitely be on the more high honor side. So that is the one thing that I've been playing recently. And now for just the last little update, I've mentioned it here and there over the past couple of weeks about my strongman competition that's coming up. If you don't know, I do compete in strongman. That's the training that I do. Think world's strongest man, but at a much lower level. I'm not a 6'8", 400-pound behemoth like some of those guys are. Unfortunately, that would be pretty awesome. But I had my 3rd competition. It was a regional level competition. So, there was a lot of really good people there, and I finished 6th out of 13th. I did a little bit worse than I was expecting on a few events, which is always disappointing. And when training, things were going better than at a competition. It definitely is a little annoying, but it was a very close competition between the top 6. The difference between me coming in 3rd and me coming in 6th was 1 rep on a deadlift. So like points wise, I think it was 2 points between me and 3rd. So it was very close is what I'm just trying to say. And it's just one of those things where, if I did 1 or 2 things just a little bit better, I would have finished just a little bit higher. So I need to maybe go back to the drawing board just a little bit, tweak a few things. Deadlift is, once again, the thing that is letting me down. And I don't think I'm that bad of a deadlifter, but I'm obviously not good enough. I tied with I think it was 7 or 8 of us tied on deadlift, which is really what cost me because, with that big of a log jam, it spreads all of the points across everybody. And so there was a big jump between the person, I think technically I tied for 3rd or 4th on that event, but because so many of us did, those points got split. So coming in 3rd was actually a huge advantage points wise. I think it was a 3 or 4 point spread. Like if I had gotten 1 more rep on deadlift, it would have given me those 3 points that I needed to be. I think I would have technically been tied for 3rd, which, I don't know if there would have been a tiebreaker or anything at that point. But yeah, after a competition, I'm definitely somebody who nitpicks every kind of little thing that I did. Like I think about taking a little bit too long to do pick up the yoke the 2nd time, or how I could have been a little bit faster on the turns for the sandbag carry. Just all these little things that I definitely think about. How circus dumbbell definitely did not go my way. It was actually catastrophic, and somehow still worked out for me in the end. So it was an interesting show for sure. It was a very fast-paced show, or it was a faster-paced show than I have competed in the past. I'm actually very, very sore from it. I've been lucky. My past 2 competitions, I've been sore after, but not like I am. This show was very taxing, especially on like low back, posterior chain kind of stuff. I'm pretty fried actually from it. Everything but one event was extremely taxing on the lower back. And if you're curious on what the events are, it was a circus dumbbell, which is like a massive dumbbell. They're 12 inches diameter with a 3-inch handle. So they're not like your normal dumbbell that you would have in the gym. Then it was an axle deadlift ladder. So it was 3 axles and you had to go up for each one. Then it was a yoke, which is something you carry on your back and walk with. Then it was a sandbag run with 2 sandbags that you had to pick them up, run down 40 feet and then back 40 feet with 2 different weights of sandbag. I think it was 250 and 275. And then the last event was a 300-pound sandbag load over bar for as many reps as you could do. So it was definitely a posterior chain killer, and I'm definitely feeling it today. Anything where I'm kind of bending over is very, very sore, but that should be good here in a day or 2, and I'll be back in the gym shortly and thinking about if I want to do another competition or not. But that has been enough of that. Definitely let me know how your week has been, what you have read, watched, any of those fun things down below in the comments. And as always, remember, read what you want when you want.